everyone, my name is Kelsey Odom, and I am in the course EDLE 5680 with Dr. Stromberg. Today, I have been asked to join in the lesson plan for our school, Forestwood Middle School, with one of our suburb 6th grade math teachers, Miss Gnarl. She has had a tremendous success with her lesson plans as far as students' understanding and the data that we have taken to ensure their understanding as we've collected the data from previous STAR testing, as well as their teacher observations, student observations, as well as student testing and a variety of other essential material needed to make sure that they are truly prepared for the STAR test. So with that being said, we are going to start planning for our upcoming lesson, which is going to involve ratios and word problems. So, Lynette, what are some of the objectives going to be addressed during this unit as far as the objectives, the goals, as well as the TEKS?
The TEKS is 6.5a. It says we're going to have the students represent mathematical and real-life problems involving ratios using scale factor tables, graphs, and proportions. They're going to be able to apply the quantitative and qualitative reasoning to solve prediction and comparison of real-world problems involving ratios, which is the TEK of 6.4b. So the first thing that I start out with, have a warm-up, so they already kind of know what the goal is. It's posted on the board so they can kind of see that. They're going to kind of use prior knowledge to make sure that they're remembering from fractions and just different word problems that we have worked on before. And so that is what the kids are going to start with. So they're bringing in prior knowledge. So they're going to be kind of thinking about, okay, have I ever seen miles per gallon, or how many minutes per hour, or how much flours are in cookies. So all of those kinds of things are bringing the prior knowledge in. And then as we're going through, and they're going to kind of work together, I do bring in a lot of technology so they kind of can work on it. They can annotate on their iPads, and then they're real good about uploading and sharing it, and then I can kind of give them feedback right then and there with all the technology. So I always want to make sure that they buy into the lesson. And so with our, pre-lesson everything, I'm always asking, do you understand those types of, 4 out of 5 dentists, or, you watch TV. So they kind of, or I'm trying to get them to really buy in so it gets them ready for the actual lesson and real world. So it is a new concept, but it's not necessarily brand new. We're digging deeper into the concepts maybe they already know. So that's the new part of it. And so we go through with our warm-up, and then I'm going to have them on this warm-up one. It talks about we're going to do miles and gallons, and it has 8 to 200, and then they have to figure out what, if they have then 12 gallons, what are they going to do in order to solve that? So they've got to decide, am I going to go, within the 200 to the 8, or am I going to go between with the 12 to the 8? They have to figure out what operation they're going to do. So they're using a lot of prior knowledge, but they're also then taking the prior information and applying it to the new ratios that with the real world problems.
Perfect. So with this lesson, do you have like an I can statement or like a student expectation statement that they're kind of requiring of themselves?
With the students, we want the students to be able to apply. So they're going to be able to say, I can apply. I can solve the real world problems. So they walk out of there knowing that they are able to look at ratios in a real world setting.
Perfect. So obviously in classes you have a variety of different learners, from the English language learners to the special educations and then the 504s. How do you plan on incorporating mastery of content from all students?
In my class, I do a lot of pictures. I draw a lot of models on the board. With this one alone, you can kind of see that I try to set it up, and then I'm constantly making sure that they understand that they need to pull out what they need to know out of the question. So first of all, they need to decide, what am I solving for? And so for those, ELLs, or even, your 504s or your special ed, we always kind of work backwards. So we read the problems, we look at it. What am I solving? Put a big question mark by it. make sure that I'm going to be answering what is there. And so just through all the pictures, I mean, I've had a lot of speaking English in my class, and just with the pictures and being able to, numbers, do help because they seem to always be able to understand the numbers, but breaking it down to easier words. If they don't know what a gallon is, I'll show them what it is, and or we'll try to use the translate, and then, they kind of teach us sometimes too with making sure that they can kind of say the word and other people in the class understand what they're talking about.
Perfect. And then do we want to give a time level for them, or is it kind of just based off how we feel that the kids are comprehending it?
Well, after I do my teaching, the actual new concept with the warm-up, I always have a think, pair, share, so I'm always asking them to talk with their shoulder partner, check for understanding, what did, not necessarily just the correct answer, but I always have them, how did I get there, what did I do to get there, and then if one gets it, quote, right or wrong, I'm not always looking for the right or wrong answer. I'm making sure that they can see what they do. If they get the wrong answer, let me say that. If they get the wrong answer, can they find their mistake? And if their mistake is there, so with that think, pair, share, it's super important that they can work with each other and they help each other. So there's not a, oops, I got it wrong. I understand what I did, so I won't make that same mistake next time.
Perfect.
So you asked me about the time. So what I do after that, once we set up the ratio tables, I will let the kids work probably for about 15 minutes on the individual independent work. And in that way, I can see once we've gone from introduction, they're working together, they're doing it by themselves, and then we'll be going on into to check for understanding after that.
Gotcha. So I feel like we have a lot of similar, my notes are very similar to your curriculum, and ensuring that all students are getting accommodated regardless of their disability or their success level and grasping concept quickly. When you complete the lesson, how do you collect the data to ensure like all students are understanding? Do you just pull that from like the STAR, or are you also pulling that from day-to-day assessments to weekly assessments? How should we collect that data?
Well, after like this lesson specifically, I'm going to plan on playing a Kahoot game, and it's a game where they're going to basically competing against themselves, so they can have a question. It is on a time limit, but they're going to be seeing if they get it right or wrong, and I'll have multiple choices, so I can take data from there. Also, the next day when they come in, a lot of times some of my warm-ups will have a previous topic, and so I can kind of check to see if they're remembering from what they did the day before. And then we do use STAR questions throughout just to sprinkle in to see if they can retain it as we're spiraling through all the different curriculum.
Perfect. So it sounds like you're reviewing the previous knowledge, you're teaching new content, and then you're ensuring that they understand whatever that lesson is for the day. So the students are pretty ready when that STAR test or unit test comes up. So this lesson seems like it will go super successful. If you could give some key factors on how to plan a successful lesson, what would be some helpful tips, I guess, per se?
Planning with someone. I have a planning partner. He and I really sit down together and talk through what we've seen either in the past or what we want to, what we have seen have worked. We want to keep that going. But if something didn't work, we want to kind of improve it every time. We're always, just revamping. And so definitely taking the data from what we've seen in the past, working with people, working with our special ed, working with our EDLE people, especially since we have, so many in our classes. We want to make sure that we are hitting all of them. So it is definitely a group, but then, coming back in and seeing what the kids are doing. And just their success usually helps us know that we have hit that.
So planning, when you plan, it's good to ensure that you're covering, like good things that will happen during the lesson, but also planning around certain students not understanding material and how to pivot around that to ensure that they is essential when planning them. I appreciate you allowing me to help plan this lesson today. It sounds like it's going to be super successful. I'd love to touch base maybe after we teach it to see if there's anything we can revisit or just really help the kids succeed to the best of their ability. So let's revisit this next week and make sure that we're still on the same page and success is
Good.
still
Thank you.
good.